Hello, friends. Thank you so much for tuning in to charlottenow.tv. This is a pet project of mine that I like to call Community Connections. It's where we connect you, our dear viewer, with exciting, fun, interesting, inspirational stories of people here in the Queen City that are contributing to making the Queen City the awesome city that it is. I love doing this segment. Today is no exception. I am actually honored to bring to you, as we are all of our guests, but today I'm excited because this gentleman I just met yesterday, I was out on a video shoot, and he is like me, a retired media teacher, a long and storied career in giving educational opportunities and inspiration and business training and technical training to young people who want to learn the digital media arts. He moved here from the Big Apple, where he had a variety of educational programs and still maintains one up there. Actually, we'll learn about that as well. He's also a fashion designer and really a Renaissance man of sorts. But more than that, what really attracted me to this story was the passion that this man has for young people and for helping them be the best version of themselves that they can be. Mr. Emery C. Jones, welcome to CharlotteNow.tv.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here, an honor to be here on your show. And I'm hoping this is going to be a very enlightening conversation.
Oh, definitely. I have absolutely no doubt that it will be. That's why I invited you on, just to give folks a little bit of quick background here. I met Mr. Jones out on a video shoot just yesterday, actually, doing some exploration of an agency that he does work for as a youth advocate and a mentor. We'll learn more about his work there at Life Connections and an instructor as well. We're also going to learn more about his he's a broadly talented creative, which I really love meeting people like this. Fellow videographer, retired teacher, assistant professor, and a fashion designer. So we're going to learn about that, what brought him to Charlotte, and learn a bit about the works that he's doing here in the Queen City. So that said, let's just go ahead and kick this off, man. It was a real pleasure to meet you. The energy, the positive vibe that you exude was just fabulous. And I thought, I gotta get this guy on the show and tell people about what he's doing here. So the honor is mine. Thank you for coming on. Tell us a bit about Mr. Jones and what brought you to Charlotte, North Carolina, sir.
Well, let me deal with what brought me here. So originally, I hail from New York City, in the Long Island, Queens area, Jamaica, Queens. I was born, though, in Far Rockaway, which is the peninsula in Queens. And my travels here were with a group, in fact. About 30 of us came with a church organization. And it was more or less of a visionary thing to come in and do things that we wanted to do, from education, from enlightenment, from community service. So when I got here to Charlotte, it was a process because I'm from New York, and, you know, the city that never sleeps and the lights that never go off. So to come to Charlotte and have that reverse, in a sense, of energy, you know, it was a little shocking. It kind of
deer and coyotes in your backyard.
Yeah,
and an actual backyard.
I always have the joke, I'm city born, but I'm country going, because I've always loved the outdoors. I mean, I ski, horseback ride, all of those things growing up. That's and, awesome. You know, having families that own farms and different things like that. So, you know, I came up under those kind of activities. But Charlotte was a different story, you know, especially with just what's here. The maybe lack of things that I was used to, from some good soul food, good Spanish restaurants, you know, things like that, that that I love. It took a while to find some of those things, and now I'm getting ready to go into my fourth year in being here.
Wow.
Came when the pandemic hit, so that really just stopped everything. It stopped things I was doing back in New York with
Oh
my
yeah, and you really couldn't get out and explore the city like you can
right.
now, right?
And I, reeling back from losing a lot of people from COVID, it was more of an emotional restructuring. So I found Charlotte to be kind of a very refreshing, to get away from the madness that was going on in New York, and then just to meet the people. There's a certain level of politeness that is here, but then there's still another level of just crazy, like anywhere else you go.
Yeah, but
Um,
that's coming from the New Yorkers and Los Angelinos that are moving here,
oh, really? Oh, that's
and maybe
okay.
maybe some of the hotheads from Philly that end up moving
Not
here
with
too.
the accents I'm hearing. These are Charlotte born and New York country
Hey,
born.
you know what? People are people are people. But I will concur. I will say to you that the cultural vibe overall is here. I mean, you're gonna have jerks everywhere you go, and you do. I mean
Everywhere,
that we are infallible creatures and flawed creatures.
for
So
sure.
I get that, but overall across the board, I gotta say, I'm newer than you. We've been here only 3 months now.
Right.
So the people that we've been meeting here have just been absolutely fabulous, and the culture is very open. Did you find,
Mhm.
and now coming out of COVID, tell me your experience here when you first landed in town. Obviously, things got locked down. What was it like for you getting acclimated to the city as the city was waking up from that horrible period in our nation's history?
Well, it's still going on. I mean, just despite the availability of being able to go out and so on and so forth, we know COVID's not going anywhere. COVID has a little brain, so it's learning how to adapt. So it's still a process, and the process is slow. It's a slow process because the concerns and fears that I have, I see other people have as well. And then when you do appear to be different, they've never seen you before, so you're strange to them. So when that comes across automatically, there's a little step back, which is normal. I would expect that as well. I wouldn't want somebody just to rush up, oh, welcome, and I'm not going to do that as well because, again, I'm still processing, learning how everything works. With the program that I'm in, with a Life Connection, with the Dash program, I'm working with a group of youngsters that, though I'm very familiar with that behavior, I'm a retired teacher for 29 years working in the New York City Board of Education. I mean, I've written curriculums, programs, I've taught in various model schools as well as alternative schools. So I see the similarity in their behavior to others. But this is a different vibe of what is considered normal. How these kids look at things, that's how they say that's the get down for them compared to the get down for the kids that are back in New York, and a lot of it is a little more reckless, So that took me a while to get used to because the quickness of what they've adapted to and what they accept is normal is not normal for me. It's
Interesting.
not even
Can you illustrate that? That's interesting. I've never heard anybody. I'm a retired teacher myself, so
okay.
I've after 13 years. I mean,
Okay.
over a decade, I've seen norms and standards really shift and morph and change, which, quite frankly, is the reason I'm no longer a teacher. I'm just like I you know what? Public schools
No.
are not the place for me to exercise my abilities and talents. So, I don't know what your walk is, but I'd like to learn more. But build on what it is that you were just saying and illustrate that for us, if you will, a bit. Because it's a very interesting point I've never heard anybody say before.
Okay. So if I was to make the comparison, the youth, the young people, the students of New York, my 29 years of experience has taught me that they are more disciplined as well as more involved in their communities, despite what they may be doing right or wrong. Okay, so I'll just use an example. If they're selling drugs, or if they're selling, or selling product and other things, there becomes this network that they are all connected to. And whether it's a 2-block radius or 4-block radius, there is something that is structurally functioning there, and they will defend it. Here, you don't see any of that. It's kind of like my grandmother used to always say, there's a crab in the barrel attitude. And I never knew what that meant until one day actually coming from fishing with her off the boats. I saw all of these these barrels on the pier, and there were no lids on them. So I walked over to them, and all I saw was crabs. Mm-hmm. And every time a crab would try to get out, the crabs would just pull them back down. So there was no need for them to put a lid on it, because they were never going to escape. And this is what I see here. Everybody's kind of the crab in the barrel with the kids, with what they're doing, whether they're stealing cars or whatever. They're either trying to be the better person of it, or they're going to tear somebody else down, but they won't network together, and not that they should be, but in other words,
well, not for nefarious purposes, no.
Right,
but
exactly.
if the crabs would recognize the validity of their situation, and that they're all in it together, and actually worked together to lift one another up and form a chain, then guess what? Go. Absolutely. Where I'm from, we called it the crabs in a bucket syndrome, and it was very, very similar up in where I'm from, up in central Pennsylvania. We saw that a lot. So the youth, however, in the bigger city, I would have thought that in a city like New York, with the intensity of living there, just the intensity of life in the Big Apple, would have lent to more of that attitude, though. Some sort of an increase in predatory or aggressive behaviors that would, that we would see more of that coming from that city.
Well, it's sometimes this is about a bragging right. It's about knowing you hold down a certain amount of blocks, and you're holding those blocks down. There's a lot of shows on now that kind of depict that, and that's a power, boost, for a lot of the kids as well as the adults, because, we could sit here and talk about, I always laugh at, how is crime organized, but you have organized crime, so the philosophy that say that here we know crime is against what is supposed to be balanced, but yet it is still organized. And even to know that chaos needs a certain balance to it for it to be chaos. So, that kind of falls into that whole situation with them. They need a certain amount of chaos, but they also need a certain amount of organization. And then that they will claim these 4 blocks are mine and these 4 blocks are yours. And we can stand on the corner in each and wave off to each other and say hello, whatever. But we know we still got to respect for each other.
Interesting.
Here, they don't give a damn. They really don't. They
so
just run through.
It's everyone for themselves, huh? So what you're seeing in the youth here.
Pretty much.
What do you attribute that to? Just the local cultural differences. I mean, I find this interesting, actually.
I attribute it to, like anything else. You always need leaders, even in the worst of situations. There has to be that leader that is the example. In other words, they've written the book. They've written everything that is the proper way of doing it, even when it's wrong. You don't have many of those here. Like you just said a second ago, everybody is for themselves. So they're now, don't get it wrong. I'm sure there's leaders here like anywhere else, but they're not as predominant, how they are back in New York. New York is all about live and loud and raw and what have you. And that may be slowly happening here, but it's still in that process.
Gotcha.
And I can see that because a lot of times I sit back and say, wow, I remember that going on back in like the late 90s, so it's like catch up. It's like things are trying to catch up, even to the craziness.
I was just going to say, maybe in some ways that's a good thing, because our society
Right.
is moving so fast, and the kids, I just mentioned the norms that I saw shifting and changing in the 13 years I was teaching, and man, the past 5 years before I left it was like at light speed, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, at 50 years old, I'm having a hard time adjusting to all this and assimilating and changing and remapping my neural pathways to be able to accept on some level what's happening and the speed at which it's happening. And then I'm thinking to myself, add to that the complexity of being a teenager, going through puberty, having the chemical reactions and the changes that are taking place inside of you as a being. And then on top of that, all of this social shifting and the tectonic shifts that are happening. Good God. My hat's off to young people that are maintaining their sanity in all of this, because the world's gone nuts.
Exactly.
And that's why I think it's so wonderful what you guys are doing down there at Life Connection. Let's shift gears here a little bit. And I want to get back and talk with you a little bit about your teaching, because it's really cool. We taught similar subjects, so maybe in the future we can actually get into that a little bit more. But right now, tell us about what you're doing and what you're focusing on here in the Charlotte market, putting your talents, your gifts, and your experience to work for the young people here in the Queen City. Talk to us about that.
The blessing was that when I came here, I wanted to do I just wanted to volunteer, really. So I searched some agencies and so on and so forth. And it was my pastor who actually said, hey, there's this Life Connection organization, check it out and see what they're all about, since you want to do a lot of volunteer work. So I did, and I spoke to, when I finally spoke to Miss Elma, it was a process of, me coming in and being interviewed. So as she's interviewing me and she's looking at my credentials, she looks at me like, you can't volunteer here. We need you to work here. And this is why. And then she went and explained to me about what they were trying to do as an educational component, what they were trying to do as a counseling component, what they wanted to do as a mentoring component. And then because Miss Moore had so many connections, that we would be able to get scholarships for the youngsters that had interest in different things. Mm-hmm. So that said to me, well, this is what I do. This is what I do. I mean, as what I did in New York, I have my own performance arts production company, and I still do. COVID again, switched things around. So all of these things had that component of what I now was doing with youngsters that I did in New York, that now that I can create that same component and body with here in Charlotte. So I saw it as an opportunity for me to get to what is truly in my heart and what I'm really founded about. And so that let me incorporate my skills, my abilities, my training, my experience as a teacher, and just put that all into it. It would have a natural flow anyway, because that's what I do. And then with having a conversation more in detail with Miss Moore, I saw she had vision to want to do other things as well. Mm-hmm. And that all tapped into everything from what I am as a musician, what I am as a designer, what I am as a cinematographer and producer. So it allowed me to say, well, and I think it's a designer. It allowed me to then say, well, let me bring these same elements to the youth and the young adults and these parents. Let me bring that same element that I'm so, what's the one word I want to say? Well, I'm committed. I mean, I'm committed to that. So I said, let me bring that same commitment to this program.
I would say passionate.
And very,
that's the thing that I noticed about not only you, but everybody down there at Life Connections. This is not just a career. It's not just a job. Nope. They're doing it because they are so passionate about serving those that are slipping through the cracks. And you guys are doing some amazing work. Tell us about a day in your life. You say you're a teacher and a mentor. Explain to us what it is that you're teaching and what it's like dealing with these youth. And for those of the folks that haven't learned about Life Connections through some of our previous features here on Charlotte Now, you can go back and watch some of those. We're going to do more, but tell us a little bit about how the different programs are set up and who it is that you're serving, where. Lay that context for us, and then tell us about a day in your life of service down there.
Well, the program is to serve Mecklenburg totally in every aspect you can think of. We've the youngsters that are involved, and unfortunately, a lot of them have been in situations of being incarcerated, or they are involved in other things that the judges, they have a very strong and very respectful appreciation for the DASH program. And with that being said, these youngsters become part of our family. Let me just put it that way. They're part of our family. Whereas if there are components of education that they need, components of counseling that they need, mentoring, we do other things in regards to have activities, that will base them into more structure for college or some type of other programs that they can get involved with, because there's so many things. It's hard even to say sometimes, pinpoint exact, but there's so many things here in Charlotte that can be available to them, but they don't have the whereabouts and the know-how to get to that. So we become that filter for them as well. That being said, for me as a teacher, I start at 8 o'clock in the morning. I have a 8 to 10, a 10 to 12, and then I have a nice little gap until 6 o'clock, and then I teach from 6 to 8. And these individuals that are under me, basically, I work with them in full academics. We start them out with what's called the TABE program, which it's an assessment program. So it kind of sees where they are. So that this way, when we now start the GED program for them to be able to graduate, it gives us a level of understanding where they are academically.
Let me pause you for a second. Where are you working with these youth? Is it in the jails? Is it in another correctional facility? Is it in their homes? I guess it would depend on their situation. It's
all virtual. So these youngsters are their home. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Very cool.
Yeah. So it's online. And as far as the court situations, because we attend their court dates, as far as the trips and things, they're allowed to go with us, because once they are assigned to the program, and like I said, it's done through the court system, the judges demand you have to be in Miss Alma Moore's DASH program. And so once they become part of the program,
so they have to work off their hours or whatever conditions of what I'm assuming here, parole or community service.
That's part of the parole. That's part of the condition with the parole. A lot of them have ankle monitors, so they're being monitored properly throughout the court systems, and we just basically have our own interaction. Like, for example, I'm going to take one of my students this Friday in being mentor. And then because we kind of adopt these kids to us becoming ours.
Oh,
I'm a
I
father.
bet you get tight with some of them, huh?
Get real tight,
That's
and I'll
beautiful.
share something with you in a second.
Great.
But I'm going to take him to go see the new Black Panther movie. He's looking forward to it.
Saw it the other
I'm
day.
letting him be a kid
Yeah.
because they're caught up in a lot of the things that have gotten them in the situations they are, which are not even, I won't even say they're adult things, because robbing and stealing and all of that, none of that should be an adult state of mind. But these youngsters, if that's all they see, then that's all they know and that's all they do. So I'm helping him stay a kid. I'm helping him enjoy the things that you would want to do, want to be able to go out on a Friday or go out on a Saturday and do. Okay, so those type of things are, we want to keep them. We want them to enjoy their childhood. I know we're talking about, let the kids grow, and they're 14, and when I was 14, I was walking 10 miles, and okay, that was then, this is now. They're living in a whole different state of mind. We have to listen to what's going on with them, to see that they're crying out, wanting to understand what it's like to be 13 and 14 and 15, and enjoy that without worrying about somebody forcing them to live a life that they don't really want to live, and telling them if they don't, then they either give them some title of being a punk, faggot, or whatever the case may be, or they want to beat them into this network of madness, and then for their lives to become very short. One of my youngsters, Moses Hernandez, he was the top student. He was the top student in the program. And he was doing extremely well. He had another family member who, in returning from their incarceration, kind of pulled him back out into that. And longer story short, while they were out one evening and doing something that he shouldn't have been doing with that family member, he got shot in the back and he was killed. That was, that was a big crush to the whole program, because Moses was, everybody loved Moses, and that was my son. This is how close, as you said a minute ago, the relationship. So that took a lot out of me, because I've lost a lot of students over the years. Teaching in New York, I've had students commit suicide. I've had them get in, deadly situations like this, untimely death, and different things. But that took a lot out of us. And in it taking a lot out of us, what it kind of made me do for a minute was pull back. But I can't do that. I can't do that. And then this youngster that I just mentioned that I'm going to take to the movies Friday, he's now become that close to me that I want to see the best for him. I want him to, live his goal, live his dreams, and have just make those goals happen that he talks to me about. He shares a lot with me, that I know that this is a young man who's crying out that I want to get out of that madness that actually put me in this situation. And, we have to listen to them. That's the key thing. We have to definitely give them a voice and hear them when they're crying out, that when they're doing some of these things, that's just an indication that they need you. And,
Talk to me about that. What is it that you're hearing as you're listening to the youth today? You say, as you said, this then is not now. This is a very different world. So what is it you're hearing, sir?
What I'm hearing from them is, talk to me, not at me. Help me, because I don't know what's going on. And don't fear to maybe wrap your arms around me, because they don't really have a clear concept of what love is. Love to them has become very materialistic, as well as very, how I want to put it, temporary emotions. How people get a nice little thrill to do something. And then, the first thing they'll say is, well, I love doing that. That is what I love to do. But that's not love. that's just a moment, of it's kind of like when you go into the store and that impulse
Yeah.
buying you do,
It's an adrenaline
that
rush.
it's a rush.
And you
And
do
that
get addicted to that. And then you add to that the social component of peer pressure. And you've got who otherwise is a good person, just caught up in bad circumstances, but they don't know how to get out of it.
exactly, because they're looking for that next rush. And that next rush, will be someone telling them, well, let's go do this wrong.
It's
and
like a drug addict, is it not?
No, definitely. It is. It becomes their drug, because they'll tell you after a while and being caught up in that, well, if I'm not doing this, I'm bored. I'm bored. You ask them, well, what are you doing? Nothing. What do you want to do? Nothing. But something then becomes somebody else coming behind you and say, yo, let's go. I know where we can go steal some cars, or we can go do this, or, and then the get high situation is a whole other story. That becomes the fun. We know that word fun can mean a lot of things, on the sexual platform. Fun is this, that. Let's just go have all kind of crazy sex. Fun for a lot of them is, let's go get high. Let's go get drunk. Let's go steal. Let's go rob, so that fun to us as growing up playing on teams or just doing, in back park playing basketball, baseball, softball, handball, all those little fun things, skelly, all of that was fun to us. We look forward to doing just those simple things. You can't do that now. And the fun now becomes dangerous. Let's go jump from roof to roof, on apartments, or let's swing from this, it's that thrill, that adrenaline rush, so that's a lot of some of the elements that, we deal with it, and emotionally we get connected with our kids. So it's really, you got to listen to them. You got to listen to them and pay attention, watch what they're doing, and see how you can you can't tell them what to do. You can just give them examples and show them that, you might like this a little better than that. Check it out, and if you don't mind, I'll, hang out with you and do it with you, or take you to it, whatever. See if you like this. And if you like it, and you want to come back, I'm willing to be there for you. Whereas maybe your parents don't want to be bothered with you, or, family members, I'll take you to, you want to go bowling? I'll take you bowling. You always want to do it? Sure, we can go bowling. We can do that regularly. So, people may be saying, oh man, that's corny. But it's not corny when that's what they want to do, but they're being told not to do it because it's going to make them lesser of an individual. Mm-hmm. And it's like, a lot of, well, that's old school. My saying is, old school is the right school,
I like that. Well, hey, let's talk about new school a little bit. Let's talk about these new technologies. One of the things that I loved about you was the passion that you have. You walked in there, we got a professional video shoot going on, and you're like, can I get some behind the scenes, B-roll of these interviews? And I thought that's pretty cool. Talk to me a little bit about your experience in teaching technology and your experience in promoting and teaching the arts. And we can pull up some graphics and some videos from your various websites. I want to hear a little bit about your background in that regard and your storied career. You have a long career in that. Some of the impacts that you've seen these technologies have on young people, and what you're seeing in terms of young people's interest in using digital media in their life, whether it's for a career, for changing the world for good. Are you integrating some of that into your teaching? Do they recognize the power that these technologies that we're using right now, that the empowerment that this gives them, are they seizing some of them that opportunity? So talk to me a little bit about your career as a media teacher.
Okay, well, as a media teacher, one of the best things, and since I did it in the school as well as my program, because they were always filtering together. So I get
Mhm.
off from work, I go to the program. And a lot of the youngsters that I've taught in school was part of the program as well. So, like, for example, the Far Right Cultural Performing Arts, the videos, um, those videos were actually, you see one young man, his name is Naquan, and he, in being a rapper, because here's where this could really work for a lot of the youngsters, and some of them are getting it. As a rapper, he not only wanted to do the music and learn music production, but he also wanted to know video production. So he was able to do some videos and of his rapping, as well as do some production using the technology. So and that's pretty common now for everybody that is going into the field. If they're trying to be a rapper, they know they have to get certain videos up on YouTube. They have to get a platform for people to be able to see them and hear them, and then to know that they're that versatile, if they're that talented, that they can incorporate that all in. So that was the same for me. As a teacher, I got them to see the importance of this technology and how they could utilize it, because a lot of my since I taught broadcasting, that also dealt with journalism. So a lot of them learned not only how to write the format for presenting a television show, but they learned music production for their themes. They learned of course, the editing software, the different softwares that you use to do editing. So they learned that. We did animation. So again, they learned about animation and different format principles of how to get their point across and how to get be exposed. So a lot of the technology that I incorporated as an instructor, I always based it around them having their own business. I used to put them together in groups and have them create their own corporation, do their bylaws, so on and so forth, and then bring like-minded people together. This one was good at marketing. This one was good at video editing. This one good as a camera person, and then made them become their own little business.
And
So that
envision a project and map it out and plan it and
map
budget
it
it,
out,
and then execute it.
everything.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. It's project-based learning. This stuff's been around forever. We did the same thing when I was teaching. I remember a student coming back to me after their first year in college, and one of the things that I always did was encourage them. Well, it was part of their assignments. They had to do some basic research whenever envisioning a project, like we were just talking, right? They would have to envision the project, and then they would maybe have to, as we stepped them forward in the project planning process, they would have to illustrate their knowledge and understanding and curating information about what it was that they were going to be working on, whether it was building a brochure or building a website or building a video, whatever it was, right? And I would always have them write, give me 500 words about. Then the next phase, give me 700 words about, formatted like this. And they would come back. I had somebody come back to me and they go, I used to hate when you did that. And oh my God, Mr. E's having us write again. I'm like, well, you are in a media program. It would be helpful, to exercise these skills. And then they said to me, but what I noticed was what you were asking us to do through the various phases of that project plan. It was just basic essay writing 101 that our instructors in college expected us to already know. And here I was writing mini essays that whole time and didn't even know it. And then 3 years later, I get into my junior year in college, and I'm sitting here ahead of many of the kids that really didn't explore or practice that skill as much as I did. And I thought, man, that it's so cool when you hear something like that as a teacher, when you move down here to Charlotte, and you're involved now with this agency, are you seeing the young people locally taking an interest in the media as well. And have you had any kind of stories that you can share with us, or success stories that you can get into here?
A lot of the youngsters that I have now, they have interest in it. They have interest in the media aspect of, um, more musically, because again, like I said a little while ago, a lot of the youngsters want to be rappers, you know. And with that said, what I'm showing them is, all right, you have to be a writer, but it's what you're a rapper, what's what you're using to utilize and how you're communicating, and you're doing that through writing. So what you're saying, is it eloquent? Is it enough to make somebody listen to what you're saying? And then your pronunciation as well as your enunciation, how is that coming across? So I have a lot that are interested in it. I'm working with a few, that were within the program, and getting them to see the business side of this. Because right
Mm.
now they just want to be on the stage and, dance around and spit their knowledge of what they want everybody else to believe. But the reality is they need those skills. And then I see that in their writing, they don't have it.
Mm.
Texting has ruined our kids.
I agree.
They don't know how to properly spell. They don't know usage, so therefore, even what they want to say in their rap is not clearly understood, because they don't know tense of writing. They don't know how to formulate the idea. So they don't even know how to put the idea in paragraphs, because they're called bars, but bars are still paragraphs. And you have to
and then
formulate that.
you go into to have a conversation like this, right? To be able to not just express yourself correctly and eloquently and accurately, as you're saying, in the written word, but my goodness gracious, so many young people today are petrified to have a face-to-face conversation with somebody.
Yes.
And my goodness, being able to read body language, to make eye contact, to anticipate what somebody, where they may be going, without actually the listening skills that are necessary to be able to really truly listen without forming your opinion beforehand, right? I mean, these are
Right.
skills that are so important. And I would always say to kids, you know what, we practice these skills in the media lab. Why do I need to know this? I don't care if you're going for a job sweeping up at the mall for minimum wage. At some point, you're going to have to sit across the desk from somebody that wants to hire you, and you need to be able to articulate, and you need to be able to communicate in person. So important, what we would call soft skills. And you see texting. Do you see the cell phone in general as a culprit in that lack of understanding and skill sets that young people have today?
Without a doubt.
Or don't have, I should say.
Yeah, the texting has become their platform of communication. So how they speak to each other regularly is now how they speak to each other by texting. So that's evident, because I've had individuals write paragraphs, and you can see from the lack of them spelling things properly, as well as the usage of a word, that that's the same thing they would have done if they were texting one of their friends. So I see it as a big culprit to everything from conversation to communication skills through writing, and then what you said a little while ago, words create a connection. So when someone now is scared to speak to you, because they know they cannot speak properly, then that severs communication. So then there's that child that won't come to you and maybe try to express to you what they're thinking and what they feel and what they want to do, because they don't know how to communicate. And if you give them a cell phone, and now they're texting. They won't text you. They're going to text someone who understands what they're saying, through text, as opposed to maybe putting you on cue of what they're texting and what it means. So it's the biggest culprit, and it's not new. I mean, how long has cell phones been around now? So, as long as they've been around, it's been that slow deterioration because of that, and it's too late to turn that around.
Yeah,
unfortunately. You would have to cold stop it, and for every new child born like tomorrow, and start them on the pure understanding, of what would be the better way of them growing up and learning how to communicate. Mm-hmm. But that will never happen, because the parents of these new children are doing exactly the same thing.
Oh, absolutely. I mentioned early in the show the formation of the neural pathways, and you wonder. We don't know. We don't know how much of that is going to end up actually being propagated through from generation to generation, not just through activity, but actually in physiological changes to the human being. We don't know ultimately what these technologies are doing to us in the long term, because the long term has not manifested yet. So I think it's great. It's so encouraging to see somebody like you who gets that and is an advocate for utilizing these technologies responsibly. I think that's wonderful. Right. All right, does your message resonate with the young people you work with, or do you find it really challenging to crack that nut?
I've always, and I just call it a blessing, God gives us different gifts and abilities and skills. So I've never had a problem communicating with young people. And they appreciate that, because they'll say to me, you're different. I can talk to you, you understand, or be surprised. How you understand that? Really? It's like, you get that? I said, yeah, I get it. I know what you're talking about. And then, because in my return expressions, I don't give them that, oh, you're crazy. I don't do that. I keep a steady face, and I say, okay, I get you. You really get me? Yeah, I totally understand. And then I'll say exactly what they said to me. I'll bring it up a little, because I want them to now, instead of using some of the language that they're using, I express the same thing, and then they're like, oh, I never saw it that way. I said, yeah. I mean, you can see a perspective is something that everyone has a different perspective, but once you get a perspective and that's how you see the world, then those are your glasses, those are what you're looking at everything through. And all I can say is it's better for them to be in focus than blurry. So, and they like some of this stuff, they like some of this stuff. Say, oh man, that was cool. Say little sayings, things like that just happen at the moment. I am writing a book, or I'm writing a second book, but it's not a book that I keep on the side to say, okay, the next time I talk to this young person, I'm gonna make sure I use this little term or that little term. I feed off of them, really. I feed off of them, because I give it back to them to be like, wait, I said, no, that's what you said. And I'm trying to have a better understanding of it so that I can assist you in any way that's possible, So, I don't have a problem getting along with them, and I love them. I mean, that's what it all comes down to. I let them know that I love them, and I want to hear what they have to say. And if I can do anything for them, I will. But I also let them know that no matter how much I'm going to put out, I'm wanting something in return. Because if you're just going to be here dead weight, then I'm wasting my time and you're wasting your time. And, I can respect that. I don't have a problem with that. You go, your way, or go mine. But now if you want me here and you want me to get an understanding, we have to share that together.
That's awesome. I so appreciate you, man. I really do. And it's one of the things that I love. Off air, as we were setting up, I was talking about the what I love so much about doing Charlotte Now is meeting awesome people, and I've been able to utilize this platform to build a network locally and establish friendships very quickly. And you come to a new city, and usually it takes a lot of time to get to know people and to get out into the community and join organizations and find a church, or you make friends through work, whatever. This has been a fabulous platform to meet awesome new people, and I'm so excited that you have come into my life, and that I'm able to use this platform to share your story, because there's so many awesome people in this city doing awesome things for this city. And I'm honored that you're taking the time to come in. I will let you go, because I know we're already going into an hour here, but we can do stuff on a regular basis. Real quick, give a plug to your lower third there. We had you down as the CEO of Evers Productions. And you are also, as we discussed, a teacher, local mentor, working with Lifespan and DASH programs here, or Life Connections and the DASH program here with youth. But you're also a designer. So talk to us real quick. Go ahead and plug your couple websites we'll pull up on the screen, and let people know how they can get in touch with you. Go ahead. Floor is yours.
Well, as a designer, and this is something that I've always wanted to do. So I just go with the flow. I know God has given me certain gifts. So my Everse, that's Everse, and I use the premise of, this is my universe. This is Emery, my first name, Emery's universe, Everse, and I do everything from clothing to jewelry designs. And that's on Instagram. If you just go to Everse _ FMOD, and that's on Instagram. And I just have a few things up there. I'm getting ready to put a whole new additional line of clothing and jewelry, because I've actually been asked to do some specialty items, from coats to jackets to skirts, what have you. And I do all types of clothing. I'm more of a unisex concept in what I do, but I will be particular. Like, if a guy just wants it to be solely a man's thing, it's going to be solely a man's thing, and a woman's same as well. And then, as far as, I'm a musician and a music producer as well. I'm an artist myself, and I'm getting ready to release a 12-piece addition to material I've already done. And then with the DASH program, we're getting ready to try to structure a whole performance arts piece. So we're going to be looking for actors and dancers and so on and so forth, because I have a number of plays that I've written, that I've done, as well as in New York with the schools, and as well as my performance arts companies. So I'm looking to bring a lot of that here to Charlotte, and I'm already in the action of getting it going on. And other than that, it's just me enjoying my gifts, and that's, if I say nothing more on this interview, I just want to say to everybody has a gift, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. If you enjoy doing something as a male, and it appears to you that, oh, well, my boys are not going to like, because don't worry about your boys, because when you're walking to the bank and you're putting all that money in the bank for you to build whatever future, your boys are not going to be there. Your boys are not the ones supporting your ideas. And the same with the young ladies. Oh, you shouldn't do that because that's not typical with everybody. If you have an idea that's creative, that means a gift that's been given to you to do something with it. And, when it comes to gifts, if you don't use it, you will lose it. Over time, of even the muscles now becoming so unusable that you can't do the dance, you can't do the flips, you can't do those athletic things that you wanted to do. Same with the voice, it's a muscle. You don't use it, you will lose it. You won't have the quality and the range and the ability to use it. Your eyes for the vision of what you want to do creatively, in painting and drawing and anything, animation. if you don't use those gifts, you will lose those gifts. And don't you let anyone take them from you. Because the only person powerful enough to give them to you is above all of us, and that's God. So if God gave them to you, there's no man or woman on this planet who should be trying to take it away from you.
And
they
let's
can do
face
that.
it, if that be the case, and we have been created, as we've been taught, uniquely and gifted uniquely, then is it not our obligation to deploy and employ these gifts in service to others? Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So, you know, that would be my, a theme song. I mean, I've written a song basically talking about the children and how they need to be given more of that opportunity to grow and love what they do. But, you know, if I had a theme or just a sentence, I would say it would be live your dreams through your gifts. Excellent. And that's it.
Well, I'll tell you what, I couldn't think of a better way to end the show. Emery C. Jones, it's my honor and my pleasure, sir, having you on CharlotteNow.tv. Tell your friends and let them know about this network. If you know of anybody that would make a great guest, definitely. Please put them in contact with us. Thanks again so much for coming on. And I'm sure we'll be working together on many projects again very soon.
Well, definitely. I would definitely look forward to working with you. I think you're a phenomenal person as well.
Thank
and
you.
I'm glad that you have had the vision to create this platform so that, it's giving opportunity for others to see what's going on in Charlotte and who's doing it, so that's important.
That's awesome. Important. Well, hey, I appreciate the shout out and you have a blessed day. We'll see you again real soon.
Okay.
All right.
Amen.
Take care. Thank you. And there we have it, another episode of CharlotteNow.tv Community Connections series, where we connect movers and shakers and thinkers and entrepreneurs and people doing cool things and good things in Charlotte to help make Charlotte an awesome place to live and do business. My name is Sam Ettaro, host and producer of not only this show, but the network in general. And CharlotteNow.tv, it is a budding network. I know I'm the only one that's on here right now doing these shows, but that's because somebody needs to do it. And besides the fact that if I didn't get on and talk and meet people and do this, I think my head would explode because it's, well, as our guest said, I believe it's what I was put on this planet to do. So I'm going to keep doing it, but I want to diversify and branch out. If you like what you're seeing here with Charlotte Now, I have the capabilities of producing these shows remotely. Wherever you are in the city, we can bring you into the virtual studio and I can produce for you. If you have an idea for a segment, maybe you want to do a cooking show, maybe you want to do a music show. We're talking about doing a music-centric show. In the future, maybe a sports broadcast, something that is more in your lane, then please contact me. Go to CharlotteNow.tv and contact me, fill out the form, email me, phone me. That'll be fine as well. And we'll chat, see what we can do to put our heads together and come up with some engaging, fun, inspirational new content for CharlotteNow.tv. Thanks so much. We hope that you enjoy CharlotteNow.tv, and please visit us on our website and like us, share, and subscribe, as they say, on all of our social media channels as well. You can find us on Facebook and on YouTube. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Sam Ettaro. Peace to you. I am out.